Okay, first of all, welcome everyone to join us this AMA with Jambo and Possible Finance. It's really a pleasure to have Calvin and James joining us here tonight. And to start this, can we have our two guests to do a brief self introduction about you and your project, please? Maybe we can start with Calvin.
I think you're always supposed to start with the guest, right?
Oh, okay, yes. Let's start with James.
Awesome. No, thanks for having me, to entire Impossible team and anyone listening in here. I'm James, the co-founder and CEO of Jambo. We're building the largest mobile on-chain network. Should I give a personal background as well, and then how we started Jambo, or should I let Calvin get into it first?
You can go ahead.
Oh, okay, cool. Real quick then is ethnically Chinese, grew up in Central Africa, family's third generation from Congo, ended up in New York, studied comp sci, ran a crypto fund, started Jambo 3 years ago because realized reasons got into crypto, cross-border payments, remittances, banking the unbanked, basically all things that begin and end with mobile, you realize, for any emerging market, Southeast Asia, Latin, Africa. So that's how we started with the Jambo phone. We've done a bit over 700,000 units sold in 2024, created over 8 million wallets. A big part, if anyone just takes one sentence away from this, from Jambo, as we're addressing the choke point of crypto adoption, which is onboarding accessibility. Thank you. Yeah.
Great. Thank you, James. Now let's move on to Calvin, shall we?
Yeah. So similarly, also ethnically Chinese, but born in the US. So we joke on our team as well. We also have an African-born Chinese on our team too. So we have the collection of ABCs. I think spent 3 years at Binance and now 4 years building Impossible. Quite excited to dive a little bit deeper. I think there's obviously a lot of key points here to cover, but I think I'll share one tidbit of back when I was at Binance, when we were looking at all the stats. Actually, more than 90% of the page views on some days in the early days were actually from mobile for Binance. And it was something that really made us think, because actually a lot of the global world doesn't have a desktop to trade from. And I think that shaped a lot of our impact of how we position ourselves to support the world, because Binance was obviously needing to position itself not as a institutional exchange, but rather an exchange for the people. And I think that probably sets the tone for some of what we've seen from you guys, James, in terms of really mobilizing user bases that right now maybe haven't fully gotten into crypto, and that with you guys are now able to come in. That's something that I think is meaningful for the space. And while we may not be able to compete with meme coins onboarding users, maybe we're able to at least get some fundamental product users within the space. So would love for you to be able to dive deeper into Jambo.
For sure.
Yep.
No, awesome.
Great. Thank you, guys. First question to James. Why do you decided to build Jambo? And what was the questions or what were the problems that Jambo phone was trying to solve initially when you started to build them?
For sure. So let me I guess I'll just throw some stats out there, set the stage, right? So a lot of our branding and marketing is around Africa, personally from there. But our largest markets today, actually, after, you've sold 700-something thousand phones, you just look at data. LATAM, so Brazil is the largest market, right? Africa, Nigeria, Kenya, Southeast Asia, a few countries. So here's the thing, right? Like if you look at Africa, over 40% unbanked, right? In the US, you can use Venmo, use Swift, ACH. In Asia, you can use Alipay, WeChat, Korea Line, Kakao, so on and so forth. Even in LATAM, you have like Pix, which is already very digital. You can send money cross-border remittances. The way I grew up, it's hard in certain African countries. There's 54 countries, over 1 billion people. You still can't do cross-border payments, very easily. Like if you look at Mexico today, over 3% of their GDP is just from remittances, and payments is around like 58 something billion. And it's by an order of magnitude if you start using Web3 technology, such as stable coins or other crypto rails, that you could save, to a few bips from 6 to 8 to 10%. So a lot of these issues, just throwing this out there first, led us to be like, hey, we need to own this vertically integrated infrastructure. And essentially do two things, which is decensor the hardware component and then also be censorship resistant to connectivity, which is a big part where we're getting into in 2025 as well, connecting all Jambo phones on the internet, etc., which I'll get into. But yeah, so that's sort of a bit about Jambo, why we started it. Now, using a phone as a go-to-market strategy, I think is something a bit more unique in the space. You don't see a lot of companies using hardware as the go-to-market, and it's just a general rule of thumb. VCs invest in software more. Hardware is less scalable. It's a lot more constrictions. Supply chain is very hard. So having advantages in some of these areas, right? Building out our own supply chain for over a year, 3 factories in China, so that we can handle hundreds of thousands of phone orders with no congestion, 30 to 45 days shipping time, versus like taking pre-orders, giving things a year down the line. So not only from the running real business perspective, but also adding the token flywheel where all the value accrues to our J token. So yeah, the phone go-to-market strategy, a lot of it is because we realized even if you can provide everything else that I just said to your user, end of the day, in a lot of emerging markets and people who haven't actually accessed crypto a lot, they can't access the global financial sort of ecosystem because they don't have a credit system. Like their phone number might be their credit, their ENS domain. So like, how do you build that credit profile, right? Being Asian, being around super apps, you see how credit profiles are built. Like WeChat starts with a messenger app, and now your entire life is on there, from paying electricity bills to buying a flight ticket to anything else. So sort of a lot what Jambo wants to do is own that vertically integrated infrastructure. A way we put it is like on-chain Apple. But yeah, I'll stop there first.
I see. Great. Thank you. Second questions. What are the most interesting features of Jambo phone, if you have to name the top 3 and why?
For sure. So let me just be blatantly honest, right? Like for those that are listening to this, if you take a Jambo phone and you put it next to the phone that you have right there, the specs are not going to be as good, right? You probably have an iPhone 15, 14, 16. You probably have a Samsung. Like Jambo phone is priced at $99, and it's the best, like spec'd out, most affordable smartphone you can get. You can play Genshin Impact, PUBG, no lag, right? But at the same time, still like the camera, that's just, you can't make it iPhone quality without putting more money in, right? Our out the factory for us is $69. Then there's $30 of margin for distributors, customs, shipping tax, etc. We ship to over 100 countries. So you have to be tapped into that sort of network effect. So now I told you what's bad about Jambo phone compared to other phones. I'll tell you what's great. What's great is when you come into this ecosystem, say you're a 19-year-old in Lagos, Nigeria, you buy the phone at 10 a.m. There's 20 apps pre-installed. The phone's called it's called the phone that pays you. Turn your time into money. So you're curious, you go in, there's 20 apps pre-installed. You're like, what's this? The Jambo app, one of them. Your multi-chain wallet supports 13 chains, and your questing platform tells you what to do in the other apps so you can earn their tokens. All of our Web3 partners that we pre-installed, they're all fully liquid tokens. We provide an on-off ramp in over 100 countries, and you can, hopefully by 10 p.m., earn your local currency. So I guess that's the feature of the Jambo phone, where if I didn't even say phone, number one is you can use it as a regular Android phone, put what else other apps you want. But at the end of the day, it's an all-in-one infrastructure hardware where there comes with pre-installed Web3 apps. There comes with tutorials on how you can get into it. It comes with telling you how to do it. But honestly, I'll caveat this entire thing that I'm saying with just one note, that a lot of people in emerging markets, like pretty much, like it will surprise you how much crypto they're already using. Like say Argentina, El Salvador, they're the country turning gold into an entire reserve, Bitcoin into a reserve, gold reserve. And Argentina, even the deep bear market, 2023, like our engineers, a few of our employees still wanted to have full USDT salary instead of local currency. And a big part of that is just in these regions, they already have the necessity to use like crypto as hyperinflation hedges, as stablecoin routes, and etc. So it's actually not Jambo coming in and be like, hey, everyone come use crypto through Jambo. It's more like, hey, y'all are already using it. Well, let me show you this other, connect you to other apps, platforms, and form this community.
I see. Very impressive indeed. And you mentioned some of the stats that Jambo has achieved. For example, it's like 6 million plus wallets connected, and it's distributed among like 128 countries, right? So we want to know what's the secret behind the success of Jambo. And maybe before you answer this, can we have Calvin to share with us how Impossible Finance was able to contribute to this success?
We contribute 0.00001% to that success. We have 3 phones on this desk, I guess.
Hey, my man.
in terms of seeing you guys build over these years, I think we were lucky that we were part of the seed round back in the early days. Our size was not size, but it was still something that we're excited to see you guys grow over all of these years. So I think because Impossible usually focuses on earlier stage projects, I think we were lucky enough to see Jambo build all over these years. So I think we kind of measure everything in cycles now, and to see you guys keep on trying to drive these users to come into the greater crypto ecosystem, even when the markets haven't been so great in the past few years. I think it's something that's a testament to endurance rather than speed. I think you guys have really spent the time to build those networks offline and online to get these end users to be able to buy the phones. Actually, exactly what you said about the difficulty of getting devices whatsoever. We just ran into this ourselves because we have brought on a couple new teammates from Africa, and to get them a company laptop is so hard because there's no official distributors for a lot of things, a lot of middlemen shipping and other issues. And so these logistic things are really not easy. And I think it's really meaningful, the work that you guys currently do for getting devices into the hands of people, and then giving them, in addition to that, the education and the on-ramping to really get them up to speed with what crypto is and what they can do with their time to earn.
No, I appreciate that, Calvin, for real. Like, honestly, when we started, beyond just being our investor and like capital contributions, you guys, I learned a lot about community from Gareth and yourself, where I saw you guys out of Binance doing the launchpad, how you guys were, dealing with community, chatting with community, rewarding community, having like a core group. And that's a big part for Jambo. Like, obviously a big part of Jambo community isn't on Telegram as much like crypto. Like I expected, one big surprise, actually, we use a lot of WhatsApp and a lot of different languages just because of the different markets like Portuguese and Brazil, etc. But yeah, so it's been great chatting with y'all for real.
Yes. So can you share with the audience what's the secret behind the success of Jambo?
Oh, right. Still, we on that question. My fault.
Yep.
Hey, our token launches in 2 days, so I don't know if we're successful yet. But well, if the question is, how did we get so many wallets out there around the world, people download, and how do we distribute so many hardware devices? The answer is, I think, a mix. Well, first you have to go to sleep and wake up thinking about distribution. Distribution is king. You truly have to believe that. Your entire team has to be pilled into that. Otherwise, your focus won't be on as much. Like, we have a lot of BD and employees like around the world, just probably like most crypto companies, but like a lot more hands-on with even local communities, etc. Just because we have to deal with real like distribution channels, distributors, etc. That they don't care if you're Web 3 or Web 10. They care about their margins. If you're iOS or Android system, and how to put you in, like, if you're good enough to put into like certain systems. And then even when you deal with local influencers, which is way that you, for example, we do a 1-hour session in the Philippines on TikTok. One of the largest TikTokers, James Afonso, boom, sell out X amount of phones. Do the same thing in Brazil and Portuguese, something like that. So like, I think a big part of Jambo's success with distributing phones and wallets is like the localization of community. That's one. Let's see, two, I think being ethnically Chinese had a big support in the supply chain component, because the factories, etc. You just have to deal with it in Mandarin and Chinese, and luckily speak Mandarin, so that was a part for nailing our supply chain. But I think at the end of the day, I ran between when I started Jambo and I graduated from college, I ran a crypto fund for 4 years, and I think a lot of our network and like investors, we have over 200 on the cap table, have provided a lot of support. Like Paradigm, our lead, from engineers and others, so support all in one, from Pantera, from Coinbase, like our first investor. So I think like everyone introduced or helped us along the way as well.
I see. What a journey, right? Right. You mentioned that Jambo phone is cost $99, right? Right. So I believe that Jambo phone is positioned as a low cost phone for Web3 users. How do you balance affordability while maintaining the quality and the performance of Jambo phone?
For sure. So I guess for everyone listening, right? How does a phone company make money from the phone? I guess it's a little counterintuitive when I say Jambo is not a phone company. Like, first of all, we break even on the phone. We don't make a single dollar. And our overarching goal is to solve the bottleneck of accessibility and onboarding, which hardware is a huge part of that. but is now limited to phones. So I think a big part of how we're able to nail down the pricing is number one, scale. In the beginning, Jambo Phone 1. So we announced Jambo Phone 2, Solana Breakpoint in September 2024. And out of this, like 700 something thousand sold phones, most of them are Jambo Phone 1s, and then started Jambo Phone 2s. We were able to triple the spec of the 2 compared to the 1. So there was one game that we had, like Matrix Fire, a Web3 like PUBG type game, FPS, super dope, but had some lag on our phone, which was really sad. Like sometimes laggy for some devices. So then we were able to fix that. But when you hit scale, you can really like start, even like few 100,000 devices really isn't scale, but you can really help a lot of the specs. And 2, if you're set up like us, where we're not making profit, where we want is maximize the specs and get as many phones out there as possible. That is sort of like how I feel like a route to take.
I see. Thank you for sharing that. And then last questions. How does Jambo plan to onboard non-crypto users into the ecosystem? And then what strategies are there in place to make Web3 more accessible to them?
For sure. Again, not to sound like a broken record or cliche, but community definitely, that was super important. Even you look at 2021, Axie Infinity, YGG, like a big reason why Axie Infinity took off in the Philippines. And, you know, like not other Southeast Asian countries are bigger than the Philippines, like Indonesia. Is because like guilds like YGG can help set up the infra, Binance trading pairs to Axie to local Filipino dollar, things like that. So yeah, I think that's super important for honestly just helping the project's community have access from what they were already in, which is bridging from like Web 2 to Web 3. Like a lot of users that came into Axie, I remember, was from, sorry to stick on this analogy, from community, I realized, where you have local internet cafes. You have, like, for example, even in certain regions that we're in, there's no, like the internet connectivity is really good, but it's really expensive because it's monopolized by a few telcos that built the infra. So a lot of people go to internet cafes. So if you can actually, like young people under 25, so if you can actually onboard that local internet cafe owner, like, hey, for every guy that you get to sign up to the Jambo app and to do XYZ, be part of the community, tell him how he can turn his time into money and, like, you know, spend time on the phone and get on board Web3. And what this is, you get a commission or a cut or certain Jambo points that then converts, things like that. So I think that's important.
I see. It's really a step-by-step, right?
Yeah.
Just a follow-up question. I think you kind of mentioned that, but can we get a more in-depth answer on your thoughts on the playbook of distributing physical devices to onboard those users?
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's look at the general Web3 hardware landscape, right? Most hardware products in Web3, number one is you got to pre-order them for a few months in advance. Number two, the total volume of actual SKUs, like actual pieces sold, is like usually less than, it's usually in like the 10 to 80,000 range for most hardware devices. Is in like sort of that scale. And mostly shipping to, let's say, US, Canada, and North America, like Europe, like main countries like that. So obviously we took the exact opposite approach. I think we're probably the cheapest of all hardware devices in general, not just limited phones, shipped to over 100 countries, things like that. So I feel like a big part is just how the way the company is set up. Like if your thesis and your company culture is set up to, like, not everyone is here just to onboard, like, okay, making myself sound like a great guy here to onboard millions of users crypto, but like not every, like, I'll give you a comparison. Solana Saga, right? Probably everyone's like, oh, Jambo is on Solana, right? Solana Saga, they already have a phone. Like, we love Solana, right? They are targeting to disrupt the App Store, right? Anyone that's built an app on iOS or Google Play knows how annoying it is to get submissions, how much cut they take, etc. I'm all for that as well. Like, obviously our operating system is Android, but because if we want to deal with those distributors we deal with and the numbers we want to deal with, it has to be Android. But we also have a App Store component, with that being said. But you look at Saga, they ship to 2 countries, US, Canada, and they focus, even though the phone comes out like later in 2025, they focus on rewarding their users who hold the Saga and have bought it already. I think there's more, I've seen more airdrop announcements into Saga than most other deep-in devices, probably like the most, right? And obviously everyone's already, the new phone's called the Seeker, and the first phone is called Saga, where Bonk did a huge airdrop, where it came out at first, like when the Saga phone was $1,000 something, the first one, and everyone's like, oh, it's expensive, whatever. I'm like, I bought a few myself. I was like, this is a platform. It's not just a phone, obviously, boom, bonk airdrop. Everyone makes a few times their money. Everyone understands the platform. And that's just one token and one ecosystem that did one airdrop. Now imagine if you can go multi-chain, multi-systems. If you set up an infra where you're cyber resistant, you're against airdrop farmers, you can help various ecosystems tap into this platform of literally new users that want to tap into your ecosystem, spend their time, but didn't have a way until they just onboarded. And now even without the Jambo phone, you have this user probably for life because they can download your app and go on chain. It's just a portal into your app, like using the Jambo phone.
Bullish, very bullish. Right. I think James has to leave in 10 minutes. Is that right?
Yeah, something like 10, 15 minutes. All good. Yeah.
Okay, so we still have some time for some community questions. As you mentioned, they're very important, right? All right, so first question, does Jambo have plans to introduce staking, yield farming, or other DeFi functionality for J holders?
100%. Our tokenomics drop literally in a few days. Please check that out, but there will be I don't remember exactly what you said. I heard yield farming, I heard staking, I heard how to reward community. That's what we're doing.
I see. So second questions, will there be multiple rounds for J airdrops in the future to attract new phone, or is just going to be a one-time event?
So a big part of the airdrop liquidity is going to go in the beginning when we first do it, because, obviously think about it from my perspective, CEO, you got guys that have bought your phone, supported you for 3 years, Jambo phone 1. What if they got the 2? What if they got the 1 and 2? These are all factors we're taking in at Jambo. And one piece of advice on that is if you have a phone, just make sure you do one quest in the Jambo app. Just do at least like one quest. If you don't have a phone, you can still order a phone. And it's not too late, even with the 30, 45 day shipping time to get maybe something. So I don't know if that answers this question.
Okay, I see. Follow-up questions. How do you ensure customer loyalty to Jambo phone then?
I mean, the old adage, right? The best marketing is token price up only. So we will try to do right by our community and reward everyone. But honestly, loyalty is something that is easily lost, not easily gained. So we're trying not to do any missteps, because even if you plan the perfect roadmap, it's your execution, man. And that is not just like what you're doing internally, but you got to look at the macro market. Like if the most powerful person in the free world launches a token on Solana one day and sucks up most of the liquidity in the market, and then your token, does something and makes users lose money, they might lose loyalty in you. So a big part of what we're doing is try to manage expectations, obviously try to reward our community. But the last thing we're trying to do is lose loyal, fans over monetary amounts gained or lost on their token.
I see. So as you mentioned, all those Jambo phone 1 users, they supported the project since day 1, right? Will they get a larger allocation of the airdrop?
Yeah, legally, I'm actually not allowed to talk about anything like this, but yeah, we definitely trying to
I'll be your legal advice. We'll skip.
Okay. All right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
As a portfolio company, I need you to be still a leader of the company.
Yes,
and not...
sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Calvin, for that.
NFA.
Yeah. So we'll just say stay tuned for the latest update, right? All right. I think this is the last questions. People mentioned that AI agents are becoming a massive field in crypto. Any plans for upgrading Jambo GPT to align with this trend?
So I'll tell you the goal why we had Jambo GPT, right? We had this actually before the AI agent meta took off, and it's not like we're just branding ourselves. Hey, look at Jambo GPT, we're AI. That's the last thing we're trying to do. The main thing is when you use OpenAI, you can't access real-time crypto data. Like you can't ask it what's the last 30 days trailing Solana price versus SWI, what's the best token to buy, or like what's the market cap here, like just token analysis, crypto data. And second is you can't access it using crypto. You have to use like real world payment methods that aren't in many of the countries that we support. So we added Jambo GPT so users could access crypto data in OpenAI and access OpenAI through crypto. So that's the main goal. Yeah, I'll put it there. No announcement on whether we're going into AI agents or other things like that beyond Jambo GPT.
Okay, I see. That's all the questions I have from the community. Do you have anything else that you wish to share with all the audience?
Awesome. yeah, I guess we didn't get to any like vision parts, but I'll just share a piece of alpha that I actually just recently dropped on the Empire Pod, and Delphi is we're launching a satellite this year, and basically I said how we're decentralizing hardware censorship and internet connectivity censorship. Basically, users in Jambo right now, unfortunately, still have to rely on certain telcos, et cetera, to get data even around certain countries. But with us launching a satellite, the goal is to connect all 700,000 Jambo phones, internet connectivity, and a bunch of other very interesting stuff that comes with owning a satellite.
I see. Okay. Calvin, is there any questions that you want to ask James?
I'll leave it short and sweet with just one. Obviously, I think a lot of this work has led up to the token launch now. But I think as a builder, there's always a huge amount of things that go into stuff, not just what users see in terms of the token. Outside of this product launch, are there any other types of things that you would say having a token enables you to do that not having a token would be a lot harder to do without? I think that this is something that, at least in our own example for us, the token has been the way to involve community in deal flow that we get as a launchpad. And so we'd love to hear a little bit more from you on the J side of things. What does having J now give you more options and more flexibility as a founder to paint the picture that you want?
No, great question. Let me simplify this last sweet question from Calvin. The question is, apparently there's a statement: the best performing tokens in crypto don't need a product, and the best products in crypto don't need a token. What does your token do if your product is great? My answer to that would be, from both our C Series A fundraise has been to our token. All of our value accrual from Jambo, every BIP that we're going to make, every transaction that we have, every on-chain, off-chain, on our platform, in the phone, in the wallet, goes to the phone, goes to our J token. I'll leave everyone who wants to do a deeper dive for our tokenomics that come out and to see our emissions and everything else as well. But I'll put it from when you stake Jambo, when you swap between chains, between dexes, using Jupiter, etc. Anything basically revolves around the J token. So it's like a very big part to our ecosystem. And right now I've only spoken on the phone. And I've sort of alluded to the satellite coming out later this year. And J sort of is going to play a big part of how you're going to access the connectivity and to everyone inside the system. And I now don't want it to sound like a very gated way you have to own the X amount of tokens to be access to XYZ, but it's going to be a sense where we're more benefiting users of J tokens, whether that's from a staking format or other formats.
Nice. Excited to see these use cases in practice. And I think especially, as you mentioned, there have been a lot of teams in this space that have some unclear value accrual, but for you guys, I think it's crystal clear. So I think we're all rooting for you guys to, quote unquote, helping you help us by growing the pie of all the users in the space. I think it's a win-win to see you guys continue to succeed. And so, as you mentioned, for those who don't have the phone yet, please definitely go check it out and see what you can get set up ASAP. And in terms of long-term, excited to see all of these use cases and new product lines coming out. I think the vision of having a more fair access to internet is something that is obviously incredibly meaningful. And I think after this weekend, I think a lot of people in crypto are looking for more meaningful things to do with their lives within crypto. But I'm excited to see specifically people really go behind some actionable stuff that can move the needle in giving more access to folks. And I think that you guys are already well on your way on that. So excited to see that. And I would say the last point that I would love to leave the audience with is, I think one of the things I'm most proud of builders in this space is to be able to highlight that Jambo's product and execution is something that it has to be highlighted as their focal point. I think that James almost never flexes all of the backers that he's gotten over his journey and all of the nice names. Usually we always hear teams where they have to say, oh, I'm backed by Paradigm, I'm backed by Polychain, whatever. James just says, I've done this, like that's it, that the resume speaks for itself. And I think a huge tip for the founders out there as well. I think it means a lot to see teams be able to show what they've done, not who they know kind of thing. And I think that the Jambo team is one of the ones that I'm most proud of being able to see that. So James, keep it up. A lot more things to deliver. The token's just the start of one more thing community users will complain about anytime soon in the chat. So excited for all of this and a lot more things to learn from. I know you have to hop to another global community, I believe in Spanish. So I don't know if you speak Spanish, but we might have to listen to this one too.
Sir, it's actually Portuguese, but I think my friend will, our colleague will translate. Yeah, so obrigado.
Cool. But yeah, excited, appreciate your time today with us. I know it's going to be a busy week, so you know where to find us as well if you need anything in terms of support on our side. And likewise for the community, excited to watch Jay go live soon this week. So excited for all of this work that you've built inside Jambo to culminate for one more exciting new launch, this time a virtual launch, not a product launch.
Yes, sir. No, I really appreciate the kind words, bro. For real. And thank you for having me on, giving me a platform. Really excited to see what we do together in the future as well. Thank you. Thank you, Elena.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Ciao. See you.